The Saints pummel the Bengals as the offense explodes for 51 points. Plus, a win is a win for LSU. Tulane's bowl hopes get even better after beating ECU. The Nichols Colonels keep rolling with Southeastern up next. 2 straight wins for the Pelicans, and it's 5 state titles in a row for Mount Carmel Volleyball. No Dez, no problem. Everyone in black and gold got a chance to throw up the X in Cincinnati. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. The weapons were terrific, but which of Drew Brees' weapons today did you think made the biggest impact? Was it Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, or Mike Thomas? Vote now on our mobile app or our website at wwltv.com/vote. Ricardo Lecombe shows us how the Saints got it done in Ohio.
For the first time since Week 3 at Atlanta, the Saints were kicking off a game at noon New Orleans time. And that had Sean Payton concerned a bit.
We'd been playing these late start times in the evenings, in the late afternoon. This is the first time we had played the early game, 6 weeks. And so just focus on all week on just our clocks and being ready to play early. That was a concern of mine coming on the road.
And the Saints will take over.
Those concerns quickly put to rest. A 15-play scoring drive right out the gate. Drew Brees connected with Michael Thomas from 7 yards out to give the black and gold an early lead. The Saints scoring on their opening drive for the 6th time in 9 games this season. After the Bengals answered with a touchdown, New Orleans marched right back down the field on a drive highlighted by the offensive line. They paved the way for Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. And even on a 28-yard screen pass for a score from Brees to Ingram, Andrus Pete's pancake block on Jordan Evans was a move that stood out on the touchdown.
All y'all Pro Bowl, all pro voters, y'all need to pay attention.
For real.
You feel me?
From right to left.
Left to right, everybody.
Those guys want us to succeed. Every week in practice, they're doing all they can do to help us, help us be successful. They don't get the credit that they deserve, and I think it's like the same thing every week. We're always talking about this offensive line. We definitely appreciate them in more ways than anybody will ever understand.
But the Saints lost perhaps their best player on the O-line. Teron Armstead left with a shoulder injury on New Orleans' 3rd offensive drive and didn't return. Veteran Jermon Bushrod filled in, and the line didn't miss a beat.
I'm hoping for the best. I'm praying for the best for him. But, when your number's called, I just wanted to be ready. And I just wanted to do my part. And fortunately, in an unfortunate situation, I had to, get in there and do what I had to do and just help out.
Kamara found the end zone twice in the first half. Ingram rushed for 104 yards. And Drew Brees was protected. Even on this toss, his 509th career touchdown pass to Michael Thomas with seconds ago in the opening half to pass Brett Favre for 2nd place on the NFL all-time TD list. 35 points before recess. And that final score before the break set up after an interception return by Marcus Williams. The D clamped down after a shaky start, pressuring Andy Dalton all day to record 4 sacks and 2 interceptions. The 31st ranked pass defense in the league, which was giving up over 311 yards per game, allowed only 174 to the Bengals.
I think we made a lot of progress. Each day in practice we go hard. We get interceptions in practice, so we try to make it translate in the game. Everybody's working as hard as they can, so we just want to progress each week and try to get to the next level.
Cincy's offense couldn't keep up with the Saints' offensive machine. New Orleans scored on its first 9 possessions to drop 51 on Cincinnati. And this was an offense eager to add Dez Bryant to the mix. They signed him Wednesday, but he suffered a season-ending Achilles tear at practice on Friday. Players like Ingram, Kamara, and Thomas thinking of the former Pro Bowl receiver, throwing up the X for their TD celebrations.
I want to let him know that we love him, we support him, man, and he's still part of us. So that's what's special about this team. That's what's special about this locker room, is when you come in here, you enshrined. You know what I mean? You one of us.
You don't honor a dude like that unless, it's real. So, we just wanted to show him some love. He didn't get a chance to come in here and ball with us, but I know he was probably watching.
No Dez, no home game, no late kickoff. Nothing keeping perhaps the best team in the NFL from extending their win streak to 8 games. And at the same time, keeping something special going in New Orleans. Ricardo Lecomte, 4th Down on 4.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. Joined by Andrew Doak in studio. All right, look, let's start with the defense because there have been significant steps forward in the last few weeks. The two guys that I think have been really good and really taken a step forward in the last few weeks are Alex Anzalone and Sheldon Rankins. Have both been terrific.
And on the interior defensive line, I mean, there's been plays over the last few weeks where Sheldon Rankins has put guys in body bags. I mean, I don't know. We got to check if they're still playing in the National Football League. I'm not sure exactly. This defense, I think, as a whole, they just need to be opportunistic. They got to be good in the red zone, and they got to be able to force turnovers. And when it comes to those two guys, they've certainly come on over the last few weeks. And sometimes, especially for somebody like Sheldon Rankins, maybe what he does to affect the passer and to be able to create some of those turnovers doesn't always show up in the box score and on the stat sheet, but certainly both have taken leaps so far this year.
And the downer right now is Teron Armstead, who has been great at left tackle. We don't know how serious this is, but he is a guy that's playing at an all-pro level. You hate to lose him.
He is the anchor of your offensive line. There were pancakes all over the field today. One of them was from Teron Armstead on Jordan Evans. That looked like that was the play where he had potentially hurt his shoulder, it sounds like is the issue right now. He's had some trouble with that in the past. Problem is with him, he's such a great player and he just hasn't been able to play a full NFL season. Hopefully this doesn't knock him out of next week's game against the Eagles, but from top to bottom, he is the field general for this offensive line.
No question about it. And again, playing at an all-pro level this year. Okay, word tonight that the Saints will bring in Brandon Marshall. I thought the most significant thing Sean Payton said post-game was that Teddy Ginn will be back soon. Ginn, to me, is the one guy that is the difference maker. I'm not saying he's Mike Thomas, but he's the guy that brings you something different because of the speed that Brandon Marshall or Des Bryant, none of those guys would have. Getting Ginn back would be huge, I think.
He's able to take the top off the defense. And Mike Thomas, this is no disrespect to him, he's more of a possession type receiver. He's got great speed, but he doesn't have the 4-3 type speed exactly. Right. So we'll see what they do moving forward. We'll see how quickly Sean Payton believes Ted Ginn will be able to get back in the rotation. But I know it's crazy to sit here and say the Saints still need some help on offense whenever they just put up 51 points.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, though, that Cincinnati defense is soft as Charmin. They weren't playing very well this year. They were 32nd in the NFL in defense in yards given up per game. So the only guy on this roster coming into this week that had double-digit catches outside of Michael Thomas was Traquan Smith. And if you don't feel like he's all the way there yet, then maybe they do think Brandon Marshall is the next best option, and they did like him coming out of that workout this past week. They just didn't like him as much as Des Bryant. And if you added Des Bryant to the mix, I mean, this offense would it'd be crazy to think about how good they could be.
So Brandon Marshall, in theory, is the stopgap until you get Ted Ginn back. Andrew Doak, terrific stuff as always. We are back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Coming up, LSU uses a dominant first half to take down Arkansas on the road. Plus, the Green Wave wins its third in a row and needs just one more win to clinch a bowl berth. And Nichols will head into Thursday's matchup in Thibodaux with a chance to win the Southland title. And later, we'll shift our focus to the Pelicans and Mount Carmel, which won its 5th straight volleyball state title this weekend.
Fourth Down on 4 is sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast. Forget Vegas. You've got home field advantage.
It certainly wasn't LSU's prettiest win of the year. The Tigers built a big lead, then hung on to beat Arkansas on a cold night in Fayetteville. And bottom line, a win is a win, and a 10-win regular season and a Sugar Bowl are still firmly in sight. The difference, at least for most of the game, was the LSU defense. The Tigers forced Arkansas to punt on each of its first 6 possessions. In the first 3 quarters, the Razorbacks had just 91 yards of total offense.
I don't feel like we dominated them the whole game. I feel like we came out, we was dominant, but I don't feel like we finished it. And, I be want to make people just, quit. We didn't make them quit. They felt like they was in the game a long time, and that's not how I wanted to play tonight. I wanted to come out and dominate. That would have made me feel better.
The fourth quarter was sloppy as Arkansas got 2 touchdowns to get back in the game. But bottom line, LSU ground out the win. With 164 yards rushing, Arkansas had 16. But those 164 didn't come easy. It was on 48 carries. LSU averaged just 3.4 yards a rush, but they controlled the clock and got just enough.
We knew coming into the game that we was going to run the ball, and it was up to us, to get the win, to set the tempo for this offense. And I feel like me and Clyde did a good job with it right now.
We needed to run the football. We couldn't protect very well, and we got on the headsets and we decided, hey, let's run the football, let's get after this, be physical. And I thought that was a turning point in the ball game right there. It slowed down their tempo. Gave us a chance for our defense to rest.
The running game did enough. Sophomore Justin Jefferson had another terrific ball game with 6 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. And the Tigers' motto leaving Fayetteville was, "A win is a win."
Road win in the SEC is hard to do, so I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to watch the film, see where we can get better, and go from there.
But you know what? We won the football game, and we got some things that we can get better at, but I'm so pleased with the win. This was a hard place to come and play. Tough circumstances for a football team. We gutted it out. We won it.
The Tigers now step out of the SEC this weekend. Saturday night they host Rice. LSU has opened up 43-point favorites in that game. And meanwhile at Tulane, the Green Wave won their 3rd in a row. They're now 1 win away from becoming bowl eligible. The Green Wave are 5-5 with 2 games to go, and their new quarterback remains unbeaten as a starter. As Andrew Doak reports uptown.
Tulane head coach Willie Fritz called the Green Wave's win over East Carolina ugly. But at this point, it really doesn't matter. What they needed was simply a W on the schedule to keep their bowl hopes alive.
Told the team downstairs, it's been a while since Tulane's had an ugly victory. We've been on the other side of some of these games, so we'll take this.
After Tulane rushed for 365 yards against South Florida, East Carolina was determined not to allow the same to happen to them. The Pirates constantly stacked the box, leaving their corners in one-on-one coverage with no safety help for the entire game, daring Tulane quarterback Justin McMillan to beat them with his arm.
Coming after the game USF that we had, I probably would have done the same thing, force McMillan to pass, stop Dolphine and Bradwell and see how well we can do.
ECU's underestimation of McMillan burned them not once, not twice, but 3 different times. McMillan threw touchdown passes of 86, 73, and 79 yards, and he finished with 372 yards through the air. And despite their defensive game plan, ECU respected the Green Wave's rushing attack too much to adjust.
They just kept playing the same way. They came in like leverage-wise, they kept on going inside, but they just kept giving me the inside route. So.
Late, the game became excruciating to watch. After Tulane settled for a 33-yard field goal, they gained a 6-point lead with 7:35 remaining. It stayed a 1-possession game, but neither team wanted to reach out and take the win. Over the final 7 possessions of the contest, Tulane and ECU traded punts and turnover on downs. But the bright spot was that Tulane's defense continued to bow their neck when they were called upon.
We're bending, and we'd like to not bend, but we're not breaking and, holding people to 18 points. Last week, 15 points. That's hard to do in this day and age with these explosive offenses.
From Uptown, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
All right, thanks, Andrew. A conference championship is on the line Thursday night at the Riverbell Classic. Southeastern plays at Nichols in Thibodaux. If Tim Rebo and the Colonels win, they clinch a share of the Southland Championship and get an automatic berth into the NCAA tournament.
3-year starter.
The Colonels set the stage for the Riverbell Classic with a dominating performance Saturday. At home against Stephen F. Austin, Nichols put it away quickly, twice in the first quarter. Rummel's Chase Fourcade hit Edna Carr's Dejon Dixon for touchdowns. Dixon now has 7 TDs in what's been a terrific sophomore season. Nichols went up 27-0 in the second quarter and cruised to a 47-14 win. That's Nichols' 7th win of the season. They're 7-3 overall. And and now 6-2 in the Southland Conference, tied for first. But a win over Incarnate Word 2 weeks ago gives the Colonels the tiebreaker edge. So if Nichols beats Southeastern Thursday night, they take the Southland Conference automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. Southeastern upset Nichols last year in Hammond. The Lions have won the Riverbell Classic in 6 of the last 7 years. Their goal this year, to play spoiler. Southeastern is 4-6 in year 1 under Frank Selfo. Last year, Nichols lost the Riverbell and still made the NCAA tournament. That could happen again, but a Colonel win guarantees their spot. They kick off at 6 o'clock Thursday night in Thibodaux. Still ahead, even without a pair of starters, the Pelicans were solid Saturday night for their 2nd straight win. And it's 5 straight state volleyball titles for Ellie Holtzman and the Mount Carmel Cubs. Those stories when we come back. With Elfrid Payton still out, the Pelicans clawed back to 500 with 2 wins at home this week, as Andrew Doak reports from the Smoothie King Center.
Despite being without every night starters Nikola Mirotic and Elfrid Payton against the Suns, the Pelicans made it 2 wins in a row on Saturday night.
It's a much-needed win for us, but I thought we did a good job, and it was a good team win.
Julius Randle did his part. For most of this season, Randle has come off the bench for the Pelicans, but on Saturday, he made his 2nd start of the year. Randle chipped in 22 points and 15 boards. In 12 games this season, mostly in a reserve role, Randle has averaged 18 points and nearly 8 rebounds per game. And suddenly, he's tossed his hat into the ring for an early candidacy for the association's 6th Man of the Year award.
He's done a good job of finding his niche with this team and knowing when to roll, knowing when to post up, knowing when to step out on the floor. He does a good job of pushing the ball when he rebounds it, so it's just a good fit all around for our team.
Against Phoenix, Drew Holiday was equally brilliant. Holiday poured in 19 points and dished 9 dimes, all while checking one of the NBA's rising stars, Devin Booker, and holding him to just 12 points on 4 for 12 from the field.
I think it was a lot of teamwork, a lot of my teammates talking to me, make him a playmaker, make him a passer, getting the ball out of his hands, and making somebody else a playmaker. So him not scoring, I feel like benefits us, and it was a great game plan.
Lastly came Anthony Davis. Number 23 was still nursing a sore elbow over the weekend, but in the Pelicans' last 2 wins, he hung a total of 58 points and 28 rebounds. Davis knows in order for the Pelicans to have a chance to win, he has to play his best every single night, especially given the close standings in the Western Conference playoff race.
Everybody started clicking. Guys are making shots, guys making the right play, playing for each other. We got back to playing defense the last 2 games. So when we're doing that, everybody getting back in the rhythm, getting back in the groove, we're going to be a tough team to beat.
The Pels now hit the road again, first with a game against the 12-1 Raptors on Monday.
No confidence going to 2 tough games, being the #1 team in the East, right? So, so it's going to be another big road trip for us. We got to come out with both of them.
From the Smoothie King Center, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Also Saturday, 10 Louisiana schools played for the state volleyball championships in Kenner. 7 of those 10 were schools from the Channel 4 viewing area, including the state's most dominant team, the Mount Carmel Cubs. Ricardo LeCompte reports from the Pontchartrain Center.
The perfect way to cap a season. Ellie Holtzman scoring the final point, the 22nd kill in the match for number 22, to lead Mount Carmel to another Division I state championship.
It's quite the way to go out, especially for all of us seniors. We've been working for this so hard, not even just this year, just our past 4 years being on this team. It means a lot to go out like that, especially playing, I think, to the best of our ability for sure, and definitely peaking at the end of the season.
It's an amazing feeling watching it all come together, and it ended perfectly for them.
Holtzman closing out her illustrious high school career, helping the Cubs win a 5th straight state title. The best volleyball player in the state will head to the Big Ten next year to play at Illinois. She closes this chapter on top with her teammates.
These are friendships that are going to last a lifetime. These are the people that are my family, and I know I can turn to them no matter what. And I know that this is going to last past this game. Like, I can turn to them 3 years down the road, 10 years down the road. I know they'll always be there for me.
Joining Mount Carmel as state champs Saturday at the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner, Vanderbilt Catholic. The Terriers knocked off district foe Edie White in 4 games to win back-to-back Division III state championships.
We did it last year. We knew that we could do it again this year. Everyone doubted us, saying that we lost our whole team, but obviously we had to prove them wrong, and I think we did just that.
Hannon and Country Day also won titles in Division IV and Division V, respectively. In Kenner, Ricardo Lecomte, 4th Down on 4.
Sunday in Cincinnati, Mark Ingram made a statement, 162 yards rushing and receiving, and our 4th Down on 4 audience thought number 22 was the most impressive of Drew Brees' weapons in Cincinnati. Ingram dominated the voting like the Saints dominated the Bengals. For producer Danny Rockwell, photographer Adam Ney, Andrew, Ricardo, and all of us here at Eyewitness Sports, I'm Doug Mouton. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.
4th Down on 4 has been sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast. Forget Vegas. You've got home